Welcome back. We continue talking about Latin America and now we're looking at Brazil. Brazil is the largest and the most populous country in South America. It is also the largest economy in the region and the eighth largest in the world. Portuguese, the language of the former colonizers, is the official language of the country, and it is actually the only Portuguese-speaking nation in the region. Politically, the nation has undergone a transition from a Portuguese colony to a federal republic and from a dictatorship to a democracy in 1985. Brazil has a mixed economy, a combination of public and private ownership, and abundant natural resources. After rapid growth in preceding decades, the country entered an ongoing recession in 2014 amid a political corruption scandal and nationwide protests. Public relations in Brazil has a long history. The first public relations department in the country was opened in 1914 by the Sao Paulo Tramway Light and Power Company. The first four-year public relations education program became available in 1967, and in the same year, Brazil became the first country in the world to legalize public relations as a profession. Today, Brazilian practitioners must have a public relations degree and be licensed by their state's regional council. CSR, social and cultural participation in the country's life, is a must for multinational corporations entering the Brazilian market because it's a big deal and it is a concern for Brazilian consumers. In particular, promoting social justice because, as I mentioned, inequality is a common issue in South America. And also environment protection. Numerous environmental issues in Brazil include deforestation of the Amazon basin, illegal wildlife trade, air pollution, land degradation, and water pollution caused by mining activities. So companies are expected to participate in CSR programs aimed at solving the country's problems if they want to make money in Brazil. And now Mexico. Mexico gained independence from Spain in the 19th century. In 1910, after the Mexican Revolution, the power was taken by the Party of Institutionalized Revolution, and this hegemonic political party maintained a centralized power until the new millennium. Since then, Mexico has become an electoral democracy, and the alternation in power between the leading parties at both federal and state level is routine. It enjoys a free market economy with increasing role of private sector over the public and social sectors. Public relations, along with the international trade, has been accelerated by the establishment of NAFTA, the North American Trade Agreement, because more international players entered the Mexican market and because more domestic players established presence abroad. In Mexico, as most other countries in the world, the practice of public relations began long before it began to be taught within universities. The first public relations agency was founded in 1949, and after that the industry began growing, at first acting as a support for different government bodies and industry associations rather than to specific firms. Gradually, more and more agencies began to appear, and they often combined public relations and promotion services. By 2006, there were more than 100 public relations agencies in the country. Currently, the services most often supplied by public relations agencies in Mexico are corporate public relations for branding, event organization, crisis communication, lobbying, and increasingly corporate social responsibility. Mexican practitioners still face challenges because of unequal wealth distribution and distrust of media, politicians, and corporations. Because of poverty and high literacy, they often rely on broadcast media and community relations programs to communicate with their publics. Private organizations cooperate with non-profits, and practitioners serve as intermediaries between the two and also between their audiences to assist social development. The relationships with media also changing. While there has been a strong emphasis on interpersonal relationships between journalists and practitioners, the amount of personal contact required is diminishing. Now it's okay to send a press release via email or conduct an interview over the phone. Public relations activities continue to go beyond media relations in Mexico, and they gradually evolve into a full-scale management function, which is a good news. Wrapping up our conversation, let's briefly overview public relations issues that are common to most Latin American countries. Corporate social responsibility, a lot has been said today, very important, expected from local companies, but especially from foreigners and multinational corporations. Addressing cultural differences and sensitivities, personal contact, physical presence, commitment to local cultural identity, all those are crucial, especially again for multinationals as they initially perceived as strangers. And then changing media environment, moving into a more ethical and objective reporting. So journalists are no longer paid in exchange for coverage. And also follow local media protocols and avoid going off the record. And finally, punctuality is not a hallmark, so be flexible and work in Latin America. That's all for now. Have a great week. See you next